إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله الله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره الكافرون فبلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح للأمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين أما بعد عباد الله أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل فقد فاز المتقون وأذكركم ونفسي بقول الله تبارك وتعالى ألم تر إلى الذين يزعمون أنهم آمنوا بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك يريدون أن يتحاكموا إلى الطاغوت وقد أمروا أن يكفروا به ويريد الشيطان أن يضلهم ضلالا بعيدا وإذا قيل لهم تعالوا إلى ما أنزل الله وإلى الرسول رأيت المنافقين يصدون عنك صدودا. Dear Muslims, all praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We had a chance again to meet today to go on with our learning process. We are still living with the topic the four Jahiliyyah or the four way of life which is un-Islamic. And when we say Jahiliyyah, ignorance, any method of life that we adopt as long it is against the method of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Any type of civilization, if it does not go in accordance with the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we call that Jahiliyyah or ignorance. So there are only two systems in this world, Islam and Jahiliyyah. And last time we lived with three of them. And you remember with me, حكم الجاهلية أفحكم الجاهلية يبغون ومن أحسن من الله حكما لقوم يوقنون. Do they want to go on with the law and the judgment of the Jahiliyyah? And whose judgment is better than Allah's judgment and hukum? But for those who have yaqeen that they will go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and He will judge them. And leading with that one, we need to take it deep inside to make sure that if the social activity is something that we cannot control, our personal life and decisions is something that we can control and we are responsible for that. In another way, we are living in a society that it is not the hukum of Islam, but they give us the freedom to make it Islamic if you want, if you are a Muslim. As usually we can see in many times and cases, it is not non-Muslims who are telling the Muslims that you are not allowed to practice Islam. They give the full freedom. They give you a place to make a masjid, to build a school. And Islam is part of the Australian values. But Islam is not something valuable to some Muslims. Their loyalty comes first to where they live. And they forgot that part of the values of Australia is Islam. And anyone who is against that, we can raise our hands and claim our rights. Due to that, we have to be seriously aware if anything happens. For example, in our family life, between parents and children, husband and wife, and so on. We remember that we have been told already, if anything happens, يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم فإن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله وإلى الرسول. Or you who believe, obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and obey the messenger who he sent to you, and obey those who are in the leadership in your society if they follow Allah and the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. If they don't, لا طاعة لمخلوق في معصية الخالق. We should never obey someone who is disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should never be slaves to anyone who refuses to be a slave of the system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a law a believer needs to know, regardless what happened. We need to know what is the judgment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this. If we make it clear to ourselves that our system is Islam, anything happen, our Iman will be our guideline. Just like one of the men who was threatening his wife, telling her that, La ushqiyanna, that's what the husband said to the wife, I will give you a miserable life. But she said to him, you cannot. And you know why you cannot? Because happiness is not in a manner that you can control to decide to give me money or not to give me. My happiness is not in the jewelry that you can decide to take it away from me or keep me away from it. My happiness is in my Iman. And my Iman is in my heart. And my heart is something that you or anyone else have no control of except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It means the tumanina and the tranquility truly is our strength in our life. If anything happens, we ask ourselves, where do we stand? And what we need to do is straight away, we obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and let mankind do what they want to do. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who will, after all, call us all back again to his final court. And then we will see who did what. So it's very important to remember it is a jahiliyyah when we use the man-made power and use strong lawyers to take something from someone which was given to them by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Holy Quran told us, and the people who are using that type of power, Ha antum ha'ula, here you are, جادلتم عنهم في الحياة الدنيا فمن يجادل الله عنهم يوم القيامة أمن يكون عليهم وكيلا. You defended them in this dunya using the power you have or the man-made laws. When on the judgment day, can you be again a lawyer for the person who you supported, knowing that that person was wrong? Or who used the lawyer to get somebody else's right? Can you use the same lawyer again on the judgment day? No. So when we think of this reality and imagine the dunya in its real picture, and the real picture of dunya and us is, as you know, the example of someone walking in the desert and all of a sudden being attacked and chased by a predator, animal that want to eat him, like a lion and so on. And he looked left and right, nowhere to run. He looking for the safety. All he found is a well. And he started going down in the well. But the closer he went down, he found another huge snake waiting to swallow him. And then he stopped in the middle. Tried to go back, and that animal or that lion right on the mouth of the well waiting for him. And then he decided that there is nothing he can do. He will die. And all of a sudden, he found a trunk of a tree in one side of the well and he jumped and he sat on that one. And while he's sitting on it, he found two mouse, one white and one black, eating that trunk, that wood that he is sitting on. And then he realized, soon this wood will cut and he will fall down. He's in stress. All of a sudden he found a hole in the wall and there is a honey in it. And he became so happy and he started licking the honey. And he forgot about everything, the lion and the snake and the trunk. He forgot. What will happen to him? The lion is what? Is dead, following us wherever we go. And the snake is what? Is the grave, and we have to fall in it one day. And the trunk is what? Is what we call my life, our life. We're sitting on it, but this life has been eaten by two mouse, the white one and the black one. The white one is the day that we spend, and the black one is the night. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Al-laylu wal-nahar matiyatani, فَأَحْسِنُوا السَّيْرَ عَلَيْهِمَا إِلَى اللَّهِ." Day and night is your transportation to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So use your day for ibadah and use your night for ibadah. And don't be like the man who Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu didn't want to hear about. Who is that person? He said, "La yakunanna ahadukum jifata layl qutruba nahar." None of you should accept to be dead body during the night. You sleep the whole night, no ibadah, nothing. While others are competing, using the night as a chance for ibadah. Dead body nighttime and daytime working with no rest to collect as much as they can from the dunya. And we forgot how much this dunya worth. If we know the real value of dunya truly, we will use the night to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and use the day to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And let the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala run our issues. Any problems, we go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is the sign of the true believers. إِنَّمَا كَانَ قَوْلَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذَا دُعُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ لِيَحْكُمَ بَيْنَهُمْ أَنْ يَقُولُوا سَمِعْنَا وَأَطَعْنَا. This is the sign of the true believers. Anything happen and you tell them, this is the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will say, we heard and we will obey that. But once we don't have that iman, we will use the power that will destroy our dunya and akhirah, and the position to burn ourselves. And we don't want that to happen. And we're living in a time of a fitna. When the Prophet ﷺ said to the Sahaba, كيف أنتم إذا طغى نساؤكم وفسق شبابكم وتركتم جهادكم. What do you think when a time will come and you, what will happen to you? The women among you who are the source of obedience and kindness, who are the source of taking care of the entire family, when they do طغيان. والطغيان هو مجاوزة الحد في العصيان. When we say طغيان, is when someone extremely, they go beyond their limit. Especially when we are living in the false freedom and power. Many people ignore the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and use a man-made law to destroy so many things in our life. And I remember the example of one family in Darwin who just migrated and escaped the war from their country. And when they came to Australia, there is a group helping this family. And some of the ladies from that group start telling the Muslim women, remember, now you are in here. You are free. You don't have to even make the same bank account with your husband. You don't have to listen to him, and so on. But that woman was so angry and reminded them, are you trying to interfere in my marriage life? I knew this man before I know you. This man looked after me. We survived the war and we live in the refugee camps. And I followed him to Australia because I wanted to be with him. Now you are telling me how to be away from him. I don't welcome you to my home anymore. You want to ruin my family. So she realized truly, we have Islamic system in our life. And when we deal with our husband or wife, we are dealing in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A true Muslim family will not feel that my husband is telling me what he wants me to do, or my wife is telling me what she wants me to do. They're just reminding each other what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants them to do. This is the level of a true Muslim family. The husband should know, what are my responsibilities as a husband in this family, and the wife also the same. When we have this feeling, if Islam is our culture in our family, we will never feel like somebody is doing wrong to somebody else. But in the absence of Islam, so many things will happen. وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا وَنَحْشُرُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَعْمَى قال رب لم حشرتني أعمى وقد كنت بصيرا قال كذلك أتتك آياتنا فنسيتها وكذلك اليوم تنسى. Truly, when we go away from the guidelines Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us to lead our life with and lead our family lives with and our social life, when we go away from that, we will be leading a miserable life. So when the Prophet ﷺ said to the Sahaba, what do you think of that time? When some of the women will become rebellious to the marriage life and they try to lead the men. Just like the public in the country, they will become rebellious and try to lead the president or the prime minister. And the students want to lead the principal of the school. And these things have been done not because someone is better than someone, but for there to be a unity and order in every social life. Otherwise, it is not a husband better than wife or wife better. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. Who is really better are those who are pious in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if this happens, وَفَسُقَ شَبَابُكُمْ, and the young people in the society, they became fasiq, people who will disobey Allah obviously and openly, and they become proud of committing sins, and they call that civilization. وَتَرَكْتُمْ جِهَادَكُمْ, and you don't even know the meaning of jihad anymore, how to struggle to let Islam go on, how to struggle to survive with the truth and save human society. And then the Sahaba said, أَوَكَائِنٌ ذَلِكَ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ, will this really happen one day? قَالَ نَعَمْ وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ, it will happen, and I swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will happen. وَأَشَدُّ مِنْ ذَلِكَ سَيَكُونَ, and worse than that even will happen. قَالُوا وَمَا أَشَدُّ مِنْ ذَلِكَ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ, the Sahaba said, O Messenger of Allah, what will be worse than that? And he said, كَيْفَ أَنْتُمْ إِذَا تَرَكْتُمْ الْأَمْرَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَالنَّهْيَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. Imagine the time will come and you people, you Muslims, you will not take care of your social responsibility or family responsibility. You will never ever tell your own family that, oh my wife, oh my husband, oh my son, oh my daughter, this is munkar, what you are doing is wrong, and we are Muslims, don't do that. Even to approve the lowest form of Imam, you will not say just a word to remind someone that that is wrong. That time will happen. When people will not ever say this is wrong and that is right. And the Sahaba could not believe. And they say, will that happen one day? He said, yes. وَأَشَدُّ مِنْ ذَلِكَ سَيَكُونَ, worse than that will even happen. And they said, what worse than that will happen? كَيْفَ أَنْتُمْ إِذَا رَأَيْتُمُ الْمُنْكَرَ مَعْرُوفًا وَالْمَعْرُوفَ مُنْكَرًا. A time will come when you will see the good thing becomes bad in your life. And you may even call it culture. and the bad things becomes good in your eyes, and you call it culture. It is my culture, and I cannot let it go, I cannot give it up. And the Sahaba could not believe, and they said, will that happen one day? He said, yes, and worse even will happen. And what is that? إِذَا أَمَرْتُمْ بِالْمُنْكَرِ وَنَهَيْتُمْ عَنِ الْمَعْرُوفِ. A time will come, you will go out there spreading the evil and inviting the people, come on and let's do something bad together. And if someone tries to say no, you will be ready to fight them, to let the good thing go away and let the bad things come. And the Sahaba could not believe, and he said to them, ways that will happen. And what is that? He said, قال الله تعالى, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, then, فَبِي حَلَفْتُ, I swear by myself, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, لَأُتِيحَنَّ لَهُمْ فِتْنَةً يَدْعُ الْحَلِيمَ فِيهَا حَيْرَانٍ. When they go to that situation of life, when Muslims don't remind each other anymore, this is wrong and this is right, even to the family life, we will see it will really be worse, and parents, instead of reminding their daughters and wives to put on the uniform of the revelation, the uniform of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who taught us how to dress, and he told us the purpose of dressing. Ya bani Adam, قد أنزلنا إليكم لباسا يواري سوآتكم وريشا ولباس التقوى ذلك خير. The purpose of dressing Islam is to cover our aura and protect ourselves from heat and cold. When we don't only fail to even remind them, telling them don't put the hijab on. If you do, you may not have a job. You may not have a husband. So we can see this hadith is a miracle or not. It is. And who is saying this? Not the non-Muslims. If they say it, they have the right to say it because they don't want Islam around. But the Muslims are saying that. Teaching how to fear Allah in a way that Shaitan teaches. Telling you, if you do the right things, you will suffer in your life. And if you do the wrong things, you will have a happy life. And they forgot happiness does not come from our job or the money, but from the iman that you hide in your heart which nobody can touch. Jahiliyyah means when we live our life, but not the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us to live it. It is in the way we judge, or we deal with each other, or in the way we look at each other. And remember the famous story of Abu Dharr, who said about it, and he realized what he has done. When he said to one man, Yabna Sauda, that's what he said to Bilal ibn Rabah. And Bilal was upset. He wasn't happy with this statement. He couldn't believe he suffered racism before Islam. And he couldn't believe he suffered again in Islam. So when he heard this word, somebody hurted him through his mother. He raised the issue to the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ called Abu Dharr and taught him a lesson. And he said to him, Ya Abu Dharr, ayartahu bi ummi? Have you been racist to Bilal? Talking about his mother's color. And he said, yes, I did, O Messenger of Allah. The Prophet said to him, alayhi salatu wasalam, innaka mru'un fika jahiliyyah. You are a person, you still have jahiliyyah in you. You still have ignorance. This is not accepted in Islam. Never look at people with the eyes of the desire or their colors, but look at everyone through the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He didn't decide to make his mother black or white. It is Allah's decision. And no one has played it in that at all. In our color or culture or language, only credit we have is in what we do. And the Holy Quran made it clear, Ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qaba'ila lita'arafu. Inna akramakum 'inda Allahi atqakum. O mankind, we created you from different types and colors and so on. Why? For you to know each other. And remember one thing, the one who is dignified and glorified in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are those who have taqwa. So this is the eye of the true believers, and it is time to remember we have been called as a nation, and these names has to go away. The names of the language and the tribes, and let Islam run our life. We are not the only one who suffered this problem, what we are going through now. The Jews, they suffered that one. And they made a decision, they will take somebody else's land to make it their land, and they made it. With the help of the three big powers, America and England and France. And the Jews made a decision, that will be the beginning. And when you used to ask them, who are you, where are you from? The only answer, I am a Jew. That's what they used to say. And they made it because they got together and they got the power for the asbab of the dunya. If the Muslims don't do it, they will never get it, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised that. So we have to be together and we have to be ready for something that unites us. Let it unite us, like Ramadan on the doors. The season of happiness, but especially for Imams nowadays, the closer Ramadan, the more fear comes into their heart. People they will never see the whole year, they will come on that night to give fatwa and ignore the Imam's council and everybody else. They just come here to give fatwa. We have to fast this day or that day. We call this jahiliyyah. You may be a big scholar in that thing, but once the ulama have ijtihad difference, we have to follow the ijtihad of the Amir. This is Islam. When we go against that, we have the sign of the jahiliyyah again. We will never be united unless we respect the order of Islam. When Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiallahu anhu, and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, and all the Khulafa, they didn't be the Khalifa because they know more than anybody else, but because the society appointed them for this type of reasons. You are the Khalifa, we will listen to you. Unless we can prove it to you, what you said is un-Islamic. So let us enjoy Ramadan from day one. We want to do so many things in our life. Only it will be successful when we use the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want to build a masjid. It will be successful when we use from day one every word we say, every comment we make, every dollar we give, it has to be with taqwa. La masjidun ussisa ala taqwa min awwali yawmin ahaqqu an taquma fihi rijalun yuriduna an yatatahharu wallahu yuhibbul mutahhirin. So every word that we say, in order for this masjid to come up, we have to fear Allah. Otherwise, some masjid, it doesn't work being in it. And the Prophet ﷺ was told, La taqum fihi abada. Don't ever pray or enter that masjid. Why? Because it was not built for Allah. It was not called the house of Allah. It is somebody else's house from day one. So we should never fight in that issue. And we give the money begging Allah, we give that, must please accept it and use it to save us on the judgment day. And make this house to be a place of inspiration for our children who are afraid to lose them due to the other facilities in the society. If you go with the taqwa from day one, inshallah, everything will be fine in our life, and that is a promise from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن الحكيم وجعلنا وإياكم من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله ثم الحمد لله. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. عباد الله، قال تعالى: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد، وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Dear Muslims, The last Jahiliyyah was Dhannul Jahiliyyah, when we have wrong thoughts and wrong beliefs in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like when we say, I believe in this and that, but this but can destroy our entire Iman. And the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam said in the Hadith Qudsi that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ana inda husni dhanni abdi bi. I am as my servant conceived me to be. Wa ana ma'ahu idha dhakarani. And whenever my servant remembers me, I will be with him and remember him. We have to have good thoughts, and that thought is that only when we practice Islam fully, with all our strength, then the victory that we are looking for will come. Mankind like it or not. In tansurullaha yansurkum wa yuthabbit aqdamakum. Let us improve our thoughts with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with no doubt at all, with a yaqeen. This problem is happening because of my shortcoming. When we all believe in that, وَكَأَيٍّ مِّن نَبِيٍّ قَاتَلَ مَعَهُ رِبِّيُّونَ كَثِيرٌ فَمَا وَهَنُوا لِمَا أَصَابَهُمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَمَا ضَعُفُوا وَمَا كَانَ قَوْلَهُمْ إِلَّا أَن قَالُوا رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لَنَا ذُنُوبَنَا وَإِسْرَافَنَا فِي أَمْرِنَا وَثَبِّتْ أَقْدَامَنَا وَانصُرْنَا عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ. So they realize this problem happened because of shortcoming from our life. Let us have good thoughts in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and start telling each other what we are going to do next. It is time to start in action. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم اجعلنا من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه فيا فوز المستغفرين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. وأقم الصلاة.